Please join me in welcoming Dr. Katie Desiderio.
Amy, thank you. Everyone, good morning. So good to see all of you. If you're happy to be here, just smile at me. Oh my gosh, can you smile bigger? Yeah, I feel the energy. So this morning, and we kind of felt it as everyone came out, is really all about energy. And when we think about the word empower, there's something about the energy of what it means to empower. And so I'm going to spend the next 45 minutes just talking about a little bit about me, but it's mostly going to be about you and your opportunity to think about how you empower and how you encourage and inspire the people that you work with and through. And so I want to draw attention first to the beautiful design of the logo for this conference, where the we is called out in the word empower. And so there's going to be a focus here as we think about going from me to we in this opportunity for us to stay rooted and continue to rise as leaders. And so what I'd like to do is I'd like to ask everyone to stand. And everyone, as you're standing, I want you to look down at your feet. And I want you to feel your feet. If you have to stomp your feet, you could stomp them, but I want you to really feel your feet. And I want you to look down and see right where you are. You're rooted. I want you to feel the energy of your body being rooted right where you are. And now I'd like you to take your arms and I'd like you to reach up and I'd like to feel you rising. And you want to shake your hands, you could shake your hands, okay? And I want you to feel the energy of what it feels like to rise. Okay, and as you bring your hands back down to center, I want everyone to take a deep breath in and exhale. And I want you to feel this opportunity for you to think about what it means to be rooted and rising. And so with me right now, as you're standing, I want everyone to just close your eyes. And I want you to just take a moment of silence. And I want you to think about what you want to take away from this conference today. You decided to show up. You're giving your time and energy to you. So how do we turn off the noise and think about the return on our time investment for today? So let's take a moment to each think about that. Okay, as you open your eyes and come back with me, I want everyone to think about the power of the pause, the power of being present with yourself. We just went through an exercise. I don't know what your morning looked like. Mine was full. And as I felt the presence of being here, I feel an immense sense of gratitude. I feel an opportunity to learn and to unlearn with each of you today. I feel an opportunity to be 1% better when I leave here today than I was when I showed up. And so as you take your seats, let's think about this opportunity to continue to build on that as we stay rooted and rising. And so let me tell you a little bit about me. And so these are my initials that you see on the screen. KPD stands for Katie Pearson Desiderio. Very much my identity when I think about right? Who I am. Pearson is my maiden name. Desiderio is my married name. And I think very much about what my name means. I also think about what people think when they hear my name. And in a lot of that, I get to author that story. I determine how I leave people feeling after an interaction with me. I determine whether people want to invite me into their spaces. And so my name is something that's really important to me as I stay rooted and rising. So you'll see some other images on the screen. Centrally, you'll see my sign, right? My Cancer sign. I love to celebrate my birthday. In fact, I celebrate for a week. And I think about the opportunities of the journey of growth that got me to that next year. But that week of my birthday gives me the opportunity to reflect on all of the things that I learned and unlearned in the year prior, and then all the things that I want to learn and unlearn in that next trip around the sun. And that becomes important to my journey and my opportunity to be present with myself. You'll also see on the screen my 6-word story. I invite all of you to think about what your 6-word story would be. My 6-word story is sparked minds, shifted paths, stars aligned. When I think about sparked minds, this is something that started back early on in my life, in my formative years, but really came to light when I went to college. And I had a mentor who saw things in me that I didn't yet see in myself. I call this, well, I don't call this, it's called the Pygmalion effect. When people see something in you that you don't see in yourself, and it encourages you to have courage, or it empowers you, that's called the Pygmalion effect. And so when we see good things in people, we want to spark their minds to encourage them to start to reflect on what that means. It gives them inspiration and liberation. And so in my work today, I very much live this space. I'm committed to the opportunity to spark minds, to see people, to be present where I am, to know where I'm rooted, and to be able to give energy to the things that I want to grow. I also want my mind sparked. I love to be around nerdy people. I love people who ask me a lot of questions. I always reframe if someone says, I have a stupid question. I'm like, I love your questions. I think they're brilliant. Okay? As we go to shifted paths, this is something that's really important as I think about the opportunity to rise. Because change is something that is inevitable in our worlds. And so something that's encouraged a lot of my personal and professional success comes in the space in my willingness to lean into the unknown, to say yes to things that I'm afraid of, to think about the opportunity for me to show up with confident humility and learn, and use it as an opportunity for me to be 1% better that day. And so when I think about where this started, I go back to 3rd grade when I was diagnosed with a learning disability, and I had to go out to the reading van, and I was perpetually made fun of for going out to the reading van all through elementary school. Then I went through high school, and the narrative from many of my teachers was, thank gosh you play soccer. Because I don't know if you would really get to college if you didn't play soccer. And guess what? The Pygmalion effect works that way too. I believed that my skills were in athletics and not in the classroom until I went to Wilkes University. And all of a sudden, I met faculty members who were like, you're a brilliant speaker. I was like, I am? What? I want you to get involved in clubs and organizations. I want you to get in front of classrooms. I see you. And guess what? All of a sudden, my path started to shift a little bit. I went on then to start to believe in myself. I got my MBA at Wilkes University, and I was the assistant women's soccer coach for 2 years while I did that. I went on to work corporate marketing for 6.5 years until I got a phone call from one of those mentors at Wilkes University who said, Katie, I want you to come back and teach a sport marketing class. And I said no 5 times before I said yes. I'm like, I love you, and I know you love me back, but I'm not a professor. And then I finally said yes, and my path shifted again because I fell in love with that hour commute from the Lehigh Valley to Wilkes University to teach that Thursday evening class for 3 hours that just gave me a sense of purpose. And so I decided to quit my job at Rodale, working on Men's Health and Women's Health magazines, sell my little Mini Cooper, sell my house, and relocate to South Florida, where I decided to pursue my doctorate so that I can go into higher education. So my path shifted again, and in 2009, Moravian University hired me, all but dissertation, and I moved back from Florida and became a faculty member on the tenure track. And I think about the journey there, that as I was going up for tenure, and I was learning, I was taking on more administrative responsibilities, I was taking on more leadership opportunities. I was invited to be the first female chair of the School of Business at the 6th oldest institution in America. Guess what? I was afraid to take that role on, but I said yes because I leaned into the opportunity in that shifted path to learn. And when I think about that, it then propelled me into saying yes to more things, which encouraged starting my consulting company, writing my first book, and then my second book. And I'm in the midst of writing my third book, due to the publisher in June. I'm working on it. I promise it'll be done. I keep telling them, right? But there's a space there that as I lean into the nebulous of the unknown, I lean into a lot of the things that you see across the bottom of the screen, which are my core values. But it's not in the absence of that final piece of my story that I'm able to really live those core values. Stars aligned are the members of my star system. We were invited this morning to think about who's on your cheer squad. You could call it your cheer squad, you could call it your internal board of directors. I call it my star system. They're the people who see me. They're the people who inspire me. They're the people who pick me up when I'm down. They're the people who give me feedback that I don't want to hear, but I need to hear. They're the people who will always pick up my phone call. They're the people who help me stay rooted and continue to rise. And it's one of the best investments that I've made in me to encourage the we. It's not only identifying who those people are in your STAR system, it's about spending time with them. Because what we give our time and energy to grows. And so when I think about that, I think really intentionally about I am me, and I want to encourage the power of we. And when I do that, I can unapologetically and authentically show up as me in a space where people can inspire me and think about new ways of doing and being. And so as we continue, I'm going to thread in my values that you see at the bottom of the screen in how I really work to enact those values. Okay, and so I'd like to invite everyone at your tables now. This is a fun activity. I'd like to invite you all to think about a name for your table. You're going to name your table, okay? And I want you to name your table the name of a tree. Okay, so go ahead at your tables and think about what tree you want your table to be named. Okay, we have 30 seconds. Name your table. What tree will it be? Okay, does everyone have their table name? Yes? Okay, so I named my table up here the coconut tree. I chose the coconut tree because it's a coastal tree. And remember I introduced that I'm a water sign. I like to be close to the water. It's like where I just feel at peace. It's like my inner sense of like nourishment. But also the coconut tree symbolizes the tree of life. And very much I feel my life. So there's resonance there as I think about why I chose the coconut tree. I want each of you now, as individuals, to think about why you chose the tree name that you did. For some of you, it's meaning. For some of you, it's like I couldn't think of any other trees. I don't even know the names of trees, right? There's lots of reasons. But there's resonance in what that tree name means to you, okay? And so when we think about that, and we're going to come back to, right, thinking about how you named your tables a tree name, I want you to bear in mind what that name means to you. Okay, and so as we do this, we're going to do a little activity. Okay, and it's really going to be these front tables right here that we're going to look for your voices. Okay, so is everyone in the front ready to participate? Okay. All right, so I'm going to put a riddle on the screen. And when I put the riddle on the screen, first, how many people are really competitive in here? Yes, I love that energy. Okay, you can't be competitive right now, okay? We're gonna solve the riddle together. We're gonna think about the power of we as we solve the riddle. So, if you know the answer to the riddle, I don't want you to say it at your tables, even in the back. I don't want you to give it away. Even if you're really competitive, there's no winners. The winner is the person that helps everyone solve it together. So when I put the riddle on the screen, I want the tables in the front, and there's going to be a mic up here that's going to allow you to ask these questions. I want you to think of yes and no questions that give clues to the answer so that we can get everyone to the answer together. Does that sound good? So if I put the riddle on the screen and you think the answer is the sun, you would say, Katie, does it keep us warm on summer days? Do we want to see more of it in Pennsylvania? Would I draw it as a yellow circle in the corner of a white piece of paper if I was drawing? You got me? These are the kind of questions I want. Okay, here's the riddle. You carry it everywhere you go. It never gets heavy, yet it carries weight. Yes and no questions that give clues to the answer without saying the answer. Okay, raise your hand in the front. Right here.
Does it beat within my chest?
Does it beat within my chest? We all know what she's thinking, right? That's a good one. The answer's no. Okay, what else? Who else? Come on, front row. We're relying on you. Okay, over here. Can it be clear? Do you mean in terms of like opaque, like clear, or like it is clear that everyone knows?
Clear and clean, I guess. Yes.
Tell me again.
Clear and clean.
Clear and clean?
Yes.
I'm gonna say no. I'm not sure, but I think I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna stick to no. Yep.
Is it something you're born with or something you learn?
Oh, you're so warm. Do you want to ask that another way?
Oh, I don't have another way. Is it something that you have to learn throughout life, or is it something that you... Oh, sorry. I don't know.
So you're
Sorry.
not born with it, but you are given this when you're born. I just gave you a really good clue. Yep, right here. Go ahead.
Is it something people call you?
Is it something people call you? Yes. Look how excited everyone is. I love that. Yes, it's something people call you. Let's ask one more clarifying question to make sure everyone in the room has it. Right here.
Does it have possibly a first, middle, and last?
Oh, you got real specific on me. I've never been asked that one. She said, does it have a first, a middle, and a last? Touche. In my opening, the answer is yes. Everyone together, on the count of 3, we're going to say the answer. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Name. It's your name. And by the way, great job solving that riddle together, okay? I want you to think about your mind shift in how we solve this riddle. I didn't set up an environment to say who's going to win. I set up an environment for us to do it together. Effective leaders create environments where we're solutions focused together. We're not telling people the answers. We're encouraging curiosity. We're encouraging the opportunity to ask good questions. When I do the riddle exercise, sometimes people are like, I don't even know a good question to ask. Okay, well, let's actually get in the exercise of thinking about how we encourage curiosity. That's one of my core values, so it's a space for me that I will always tee up that environment. But when we think about your name, I want you to think about that space of what do people think when they hear your name? You are the author of your story. You write the pages of what people think when they hear your name. And the cool thing about this is if you don't think you like what you authored yesterday, today you get to turn the page and you get to write something new. And if you don't like what you write today, you get to turn the page and you get to write something new tomorrow. And so every day we're writing the story of us, right? There's power in your name. And so as we discover this, we're going to go through this exercise using my R2C model, recognize, reflect, connect. We're going to recognize what we give our time and energy to. We're going to reflect on how we learn and unlearn in our lens shifts every day. And then we're going to connect with why the people in our star system can help us shine brighter, better, richer, stronger. Okay? And so there's a quote in my first book, The Beekeeper, that's said by the protagonist, Catherine, that alludes to something that I've been sharing with you since I started, which is what we give our time and energy to grows. Do you know what we do as humans sometimes? We get on autopilot. And we give our time and energy to things that we don't want to grow. We give our time and energy to things that have low returns on our time investment because it's habit, because we're not present with ourselves to really think about being intentional in what we give our time and energy to. And so when we think about that energy, and I'm still feeling the energy of your smiles, by the way, when we opened up today, there's a space of the opportunity for us to give our time and energy to the things that we want to grow. And so as you go through the conference today, I want you to think about what you're giving your time and energy to. Are you on your phone and you're just a passive consumer in the day? Or are eyes up and you're looking at people and you're smiling and you're saying good morning and you're sharing energy and you're thinking about the return on the investment of that time? When you're in your breakout rooms, are you curious and asking questions of the people next to you? Are you raising your hand and saying, I respectfully disagree with that? I actually love that when people do that. I'm like, oh, tell me. I want to get into your brain for a minute, right? So think about these spaces. And when you're doing that, you're also going to think about those moments that you give your time and energy to things that you don't want to grow and have low returns on your time investment. And we have an opportunity to unlearn that response. Because remember, we're the author of our story, okay? And so as we think about this and we think about time and energy, we want to think about the seeds that we're planting and how we water those seeds. And in many ways, when we're giving our time and energy to things that we don't want to grow, your time and energy serves as the water to things that you don't want to grow, like maybe drama, or things that you can't control, or things that won't change, because really we can only control us. We can't control what happens around us, but we can control how we respond. That comes in your lens check. And so when I think about cultivating seeds, I think very much about my core values: character, communication, connection, curiosity, and growth. And when I show up in spaces, I'm leading with my core values. I'm thinking about the opportunity for my mind to be sparked in that space of connection, but also in the space of curiosity and growth. And when I think about growth, that's mind, body, soul for me. I think very much about my core value of communication. It's not what I say to people, it's how I say it. If my intention is to help you and the impact on you is negative, that's up to me to right size. I want to water that. That's high ROI of my time and energy. And so I'd like you all now, you have a handout at your tables. And we're not going to spend too much time here, but I wanted you to have a takeaway to go with you, because I want you all to leave this conference today thinking about your opportunity to lead with your core values, and how every day you have the opportunity to water the opportunity for you to live that purpose of living your values. And so in the first exercise, there's a list of potential values, and you know what? There's probably values that are missing here. I realize that the value of play is missing, so some of you might like that value, right? Maybe fun is a value that's not on there, but this is a starting point to get you to start thinking about what are your core values, and can you get it down to maybe 3 to 5 that really become your core? I'll tell you, when I think about being rooted, knowing my values helps me in that space of controlling my responses. I will have an emotional response if one of my core values is compromised, but that's up to me to manage. I know myself so well that I could be so intentional of what I give my time and energy to, because I do the self-work. I think about why I respond to things the way I do, and if I don't like it, I get to fix it. And that's up to me. That's my brand. I get to own that. I also get to choose the lens in which I use to think about how things happen in life. And so for all of you, as you start to go through this exercise, I want you to spend today really thinking about, what are my core values? And it's not just the things that you say, it's the things that you see in your behaviors. It's the things that you'll do even when you're tired, because they're meaningful. And so when I think about my value of growth, right, people will frequently say to me, like, Katie, you're always working. No, I'm always growing. That doesn't feel like work to me. I love it. I love that I get to get new certifications and travel around the globe and write books. I love that I get to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go to the gym. It fuels me. It makes me feel whole, and I will do that unapologetically because it's one of my values. And so when we realize those, we can prioritize the time and energy to live them. Okay? And so when we think about living our values, right, and this space of being rooted, I want to build on that to think about those opportunities and those lens check moments that as we stay rooted in our life experiences, in our habits, sometimes our habits get us through a specific season in our life, but they don't serve us well for the next season. And so it's up to us to stay present in that space, to think about, right, as we're rooted, we know ourselves, we give ourselves permission to learn and unlearn, but we also give ourselves the space to be vulnerable. And so let me tell you a little bit about what the last month looked like for me, okay? On March 27th, I spent the day living my value of connection with my dad, who's here today. Hi, Dad. As he was having a medical procedure done. But we spent hours together at the hospital. It was an ability for us to connect, an ability for us to think about, right, next steps. 3 days later, on March 30th, I drove my youngest daughter, Emmy, who's also here, hi Emmy, down to, oh my gosh, guys, you're getting like all the applause, I love it. I drove Emmy down to Philadelphia so that she could have her ACL and her meniscus repaired, okay? And then on Thursday of that week, my dermatologist told me that this basal cell carcinoma had to have a Mohs procedure, which I had done yesterday, 15 stitches, right? But you know what? The energy feels so much better, right? I'm like, oh, thank God that's gone, right? Onward and upward, I'm in recovery. That Friday of that week, I took my daughter Lily, who's also here, hi Lily, to urgent care because she had been, my girls are avid soccer players. Emmy's ACL and meniscus injury was on the pitch. Lily, we found out on Friday, had a hairline fracture in her fibula. So I was like, wow, we're like the walking wounded, right? And everyone's like, Katie, oh my gosh, you have so much going on. And I'm like, we got this, right? There's an energy here that's like, we're gonna keep our face toward the sun. We can't control any of those things. But what we can control is the way forward. What we can control is the opportunity for us to learn and unlearn in the moments where things feel heavy. It's an opportunity for us to link arms, to feel each other, to be there for each other. And so I'm not gonna give energy to the things that I can't change. I'm gonna give energy to the recovery and the way forward, and that's what we do. And so in the pruning, it's like, what am I letting go of? How are our norms changing? For the girls who travel an hour and 20 minutes down to their soccer practices in Philadelphia, right? Now they're not playing, but they have an opportunity to prune too, to say, if I'm not out playing on the field, how am I learning with my coach? How am I supporting my teammates? How am I looking at this season in the opportunity for me to stay rooted and rise? And so as we do this, there's a space for us as we own our story to think about those shifts in that self-talk. And so by show of hands, how many of you have ever experienced imposter syndrome in here? Yeah. And sometimes we've been given the bad advice of like fake it till you make it, right? But there's a space here of when we think about that priming, right? We have to unlearn that negative self-talk of, I'm not enough. What if people find me out? I don't know if I should be up here. And we can replace that narrative in our minds with, I've been invited here for a reason. I don't know everything yet. I was invited to be in this role because someone sees something in me. I have an opportunity to learn. And in that, there comes power in that space of us being present with ourselves to be able to identify what we can control. And we can control the narrative in our head. And so I'd like to invite everyone now, and there's a space on your handouts if you want to do it on there, but I want you to think about at your tables, right? What's one thing that you want to unlearn? What's one habit that you've been doing that's no longer serving you in this season? And how could we replace that with a new habit? And if you can't think of one now, I want you to think about it as we go through today. Because once we put ourselves on the path of unlearning and replacing the things that are no longer serving us on the journey that we're on, we can then continue to do that every day. I'm learning and unlearning in my sparked mind every day. Whoop, there I went again. Can't do that. How do I replace that thought? How do I replace that habit? And when I'm doing that, guess what? I'm holding the pen and I'm authoring my story. And I want you all to come on the journey to do that with me. And so in my second book, The Stargazer, This Brings Us to Connection, there's a quote in the book that's said by one of the characters in the book, Emmy, that says, "The light of the moon can light the path forward in the dark." And I often think about that light of the moon. A lot of it comes from the members of my star system. But I have to be able to see the light. I have to be able to invite the light. But I also want to be the light. I want, when people are in dark spaces, for me to help lift them up. I want to be a guide. I want to be an opportunity to say, we can have bad days and tomorrow can be a better day. And when we choose that lens, right, we could stay rooted in things are hard and I'm rising. And so in that, that means that we're reframing our inner voice. And when we reframe our inner voice, we're owning the narrative, we're owning the story that we tell ourselves, and we're also owning the story that we're telling everyone else. And so we're shifting from I can't, imposter syndrome, to I can't yet, which demonstrates confident humility. I don't know that yet, but thank you for putting me in the space for me to learn. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for seeing me when I didn't see myself. And when we're doing this reframing, right, we're inviting the opportunity that just like trees who shed their leaves in seasons and go through rebirth, so do we. We have opportunities to prune our trees and cut off the branches that no longer serve us because we go through different seasons. And we have seasons where the sun is shining bright, and we have seasons where the skies are gray. And in all those seasons, we have to realize those opportunities for us to stay rooted in who we are and continue to rise. And so we want to lean into those together. And so as we do this and we kind of bring all of this to a close, I want everyone to go through today really being present with yourselves, feeling your feet on the ground in wherever you are, in whatever room you're sitting in or standing in today. I want you to recognize what you're giving your time and energy to. Own it. If there's low ROI, make a shift. I want you to reflect on how you're learning and unlearning today. Unlearning is harder for adults than learning is, because we're habitual creatures. And so lean into the challenge. And then I want you to connect with people. I want you to connect with thinking about who's in your star system. What are those opportunities for those people to be your light? Okay? And so, everyone, I'd like you all to stand as we close. Together, what's the word that we see on the screen? Say it louder. Illness. I'd like you now to either link arms with the person next to you or hold hands, whatever you're comfortable with. Oh, I feel it. I feel the energy. Okay, everyone, what happens when we replace I with we? What does the word become? Wellness. Say it again. Wellness. There's power in we. I want you to bottle up this energy as you go through today. We're not on this journey alone. There is power in we. And so everyone, thank you. I invite you to scan my QR code and connect with me on LinkedIn. I would love to be on the journey with you, and I'm encouraging you to take this energy into the rest of today. Thank you.